If you're sitting in your house right now and you're in California, Texas, or Arizona, and you're Googling, should I move to Washington State? And it's midnight, this will be your honest answer. This is not your tourism board version, not the come on up, it's gorgeous reel. Both sides, every pro and every con. I'll go back and forth so you actually know what you're walking into. I'm Lianne Hall, a real estate broker here in Western Washington, and I've helped a ton of people make this move. So let's get into it. Here's how we're doing this. I'm not going to give you all the good stuff and I'm not going to give you all the bad stuff. Let's go back and forth. So you hear pros, you hear some cons, you can compare it, write it down, see how it affects you. Because that's actually how it works when you're thinking about moving somewhere. That's just life. The good and the annoying items tend to show up on the same day. So we've got 5 rounds here, 5 pros, 5 cons. Let's pair them up. And before we're done, you'll know whether this place is right for you. For those of you that are thinking about it, couple quick note, I have got a relocation guide for Western Washington. I'll leave it in the description. It's going to cover all of the neighborhoods in many areas like Gig Harbor, University Place, got Port Orchard. I'll give you the commute realities and what your budget might look like when you get here. So feel free to grab it, the link's below, or just send me a DM and I'll send it for any of the areas you're thinking about moving to. Pro number 1, the scenery is not normal. So I want to start here because it is truly the portion that people truly underestimate. So they're going to see pictures online, they see them on social media, they think, okay, it's wonderfully green, I love it, we don't have this. There's water, great. And then they move here. And then they go home and they ruin for whatever they're used to living before. You can drive 20 minutes from most of Western Washington and you'll be standing in front of a 14,000-foot volcano. So Mount Rainier is just that. It's completely casual. It sits just in the middle of every city here. Okay, so we've got the Puget Sound. We've got ferries that are going across back and forth as you look outside. The old growth forest. If you haven't been to the Hood Canal, it's gorgeous, and the San Juan Islands are unforgettable. You can take a ferry and get there on any Tuesday. People who grew up here have definitely taken this for granted, and people who move here never stop noticing how many great things we have. Okay, let me get into the negative Nelly. Con number 1, the rain is real. It is relentless. Here's that flip side of that gorgeous green scenery. It's gray. So pretty much from October through March, and even sometimes in April, I will definitely say that the sun is not really present. It doesn't storm dramatically, it just frickin' drizzles all day long. We've got mists. It stays flat and gray for weeks at a stretch. Some of my clients love this. They truly adapt and they genuinely think it's like cozy, and that's the type of person they are. And then some people hit February and feel like they've never seen the sun in their entire life. Both responses totally valid. For me, I'm more of the second one. Definitely hard for me in the wintertime, but it's real. So if you're coming from Arizona or Southern California like I did, or Texas even, the first winter is a full-on culture shock. You're just like, what happened? And then the second one, it's fine. You get through it. And by year 3, you're going to look in your closet and you own like 6 rain jackets. You don't even own an umbrella. It's just full-on rain gear. And that's just how it goes up here. Okay, I want to get back to that positive side. Pro number 2, we have no state income tax. Washington State has no state income tax, 0. So if you're coming from California, where you might be paying, let's say 9, 10, 12% on your income right now, write this down. Do the math for a second. A lot of people, the savings on the income tax alone starts to look like a different mortgage payment they might be paying. Now, don't get me wrong, Washington does have a higher sales tax, and property tax here is real. I'm not pretending the state is free of taxes, but the high earners or the remote workers and business owners, the income tax piece is a significant factor. And honestly, this is a reason it draws a ton of people here for exactly that reason. Okay, con number 2, and it's the cost of living. It's definitely started to decline. But here's what balances that out. Western Washington is not cheap anymore. People used to think it's a deal. It's definitely not cheap. Because of the influx of remote workers that we had, tech money came into here. People were leaving California and bringing California money with them. It has moved the market up here for sure. Groceries, dining, gas, property taxes are real here, and childcare costs are real. Now, compared to the Bay Area or coastal Southern California, you may still come out well ahead, of course. But if you're coming from a low cost of living state expecting to stretch every dollar, well, so run your numbers before you move. Let's go to pro number 3 because the outdoor access here is absurd. I'm going to get really specific here because every state, that word outdoor lifestyle gets thrown around in each of the videos. For where I live in Gig Harbor, you could be kayaking in the morning. I could jump down to the harbor, throw it in. I could drive somewhere that's very close, hour or two away, and be skiing in the afternoon. I can jump on a ferry that's a few minutes from there and be on an island and catch dinner there, and then take that ferry back and be home by 10 p.m. This is definitely not something most places offer. My town, Gig Harbor, let's use that as an example. I mean, we have downtown water access. So if you're into boating, it's down there. If you want to do trail hiking, dog parks that are in the middle of the woods, find a kayak launch, any of that, it is honestly not 3 hours away. It's right in our backyard. You actually have to try to avoid it. Con number 3, the traffic and the commute reality here. All right, let's talk about getting around in that gorgeous nature. So for those of you that are commuters and you're going to Seattle from the South Sound, like Gig Harbor, Port Orchard, Puyallup, Tacoma, any of those places, that commute is definitely not something small to consider. So the Tacoma Narrows Bridge is the only way onto the Kitsap Peninsula, and on a bad morning, you will sit on that bridge. Now, we've added a second bridge. It definitely has helped quite a bit, but if there's any accident on the bridge, you could be sitting for hours. Highway 16, the I-5 that's going through Tacoma, we definitely have some real choke points on there. Now, let me tell you, it's definitely not LA bad, but it's still something here. You're still sitting in high traffic. The good news is that remote and hybrid work has genuinely changed this a lot for a lot of the people here. They work at home maybe 2 days a week and then go up to Seattle on the other days. And Tacoma itself has become more of a self-contained destination. You don't always have to go north to have that full life, going out to dinner and have nightlife. It's now in Tacoma. But if you're planning to commute to Seattle 5 days a week from Gig Harbor, I would factor that in. My daughter did that for a summer, and I think it about drove her nuts. I will say, though, there is a ferry that goes from Manchester. If you're willing to do like a walk-on situation, it takes 20 minutes and you avoid all of that traffic. Pro number 4, the job market is stacked here. For as of now, we still have these companies here. We've got Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon. Both of these type of jobs here are doing remote and on-site work. And our joint base, Lewis McChord, it's one of the largest military installations in the country, and it's right here in Pierce County. So we have a ton of military relocation. And we've got a great healthcare sector. So Tacoma has a bunch of hospitals. We've got one in Gig Harbor and Seattle a ton. So we have Multi-Care, CHI Franciscan, Virginia Mason. Tacoma and the surrounding area is a legitimate healthcare hub. Tons of medical relocators are contacting me monthly. If you're a physician, a nurse, or in medical leadership, the market is actively recruiting, and it definitely pays up here. Now, if you're a remote worker, you get to do your job from a city where $1 million still buys you a real house in a great neighborhood, and even in some of these, you might be waterfront. Okay, let me switch sides. Let's go to con number 4, seasonal affective disorder. It's a real thing. So that seasonal affective disorder, which is called SAD, funny that it's named like that, it's generally prevalent here in the Pacific Northwest. That reduced daylight in the winter, weeks without sun, it affects people, especially people who've never lived through this before. It is a huge learning process. I had to have it, and I'm like, whew, man, I feel down and I'm not sure why. I have seen people move here from sunny states like California, and they really struggle. They're struggling with their mood, their energy, and it's typically between, November and March, hence why I plan most of my trips then. The local population has adapted. They do light therapy lamps. You'll hear a lot of people say they have them in their home, or they're doing vitamin D injections. And you just have to stay active. If not, it definitely can take you down. By leaning into those indoor hobbies that a lot of people have, that's also why our coffee culture is so huge here. It's not by an accident. We have to have things that keep us occupied. During the winter, people have to have a reason to leave the house, even if it's just going to Starbucks. And again, for most people, totally manageable, but it's worth knowing about, especially if you might have that personality of where sun brings you happiness. Think about it before you start packing that truck up. All right, pro number 5, the communities here are actually really great communities. So when people think Washington, the first thing that comes to mind, and honestly, when I'm out of town, I'll tell people I'm from Seattle, it's because they don't really know some of the other locations. So when people hear Washington State, Seattle's the first thing that comes to mind. The communities I'm talking about that are just really sought after now, and I have people contacting me, I'm talking about Gig Harbor. Like that small harbor feel. You've got walkable downtown areas, boating community everywhere, and people that know you. Honestly, you walk into any of the restaurants, you know somebody that's in there. Or we've got Port Orchard area, Tacoma. Tacoma's completely renovated it in the last decade, so you definitely want to take a trip down there and check it out. Other upcoming areas are definitely like Puyallup, Bonnie Lake, and one that a lot of people don't know about, but you definitely should visit is University Place. These are actual communities. We've got farmers markets during the year. We've got local restaurants that aren't chain restaurants. They're people that you know that own it, that you can go check in and tell them what you want on the menu to change. Schools that aren't huge disasters, that public schools that you want to send your kids to. Neighbors who know your name and will look out over your house while you're out of town. For people moving from dense metros, trust me, this has been a comment. They sometimes think it's a bit creepy. They're like, everybody's so nice here, but it is great. People tend to love it after a while, and they're like, man, I love the fact that everybody at the grocery store really truly wants to know how I'm doing today. Okay, con number 5. The culture shift is very real here if you're coming from the South or the Midwest. And here's the honest last one. The Pacific Northwest has its own culture for sure. People here tend to be a bit more, reserved, I guess. They're warm once you get to know them, but they're definitely not immediately face friendly like the South would be. That took me from California even a long time to get used to. Like, to get your friendships takes a little bit longer than when I lived in Mississippi or even California. The outdoor culture here is real. You might feel a little bit of pressure from people here that you got to have some outdoor hobby, or you got to have a paddle always nearby. This political lean of the region is what it is. Most people adjust fine. Some people miss their community of origin longer than they expected. Most people are fine. Some people miss their community that they're coming from for a little bit longer than they actually expected. But I will say Gig Harbor and Kitsap County specifically attract a more balanced demographic. We're getting more military families or business owners that are coming up here. People from all over the country. It's less Seattle and more kind of that America feel, which for some of you is exactly the point. All right, let's take a quick pause before we get to the next one. So if you're watching this and you're still thinking I'm moving to the area, definitely contact me. I'd love to send you over some of my supplements, my relocation guides for each of this area. I want you to definitely know the neighborhoods and the costs. And then if you're a boater, I can send you the marinas and pretty much what the costs are at each of the marinas, different hiking trails in the area. These are things that I can help you with before you move here. Reach out to me. I answer every single comment, or feel free to send me an email and a call. I answer every single one of them personally. All right, let's get back to it. So we've got 5 pros and 5 cons. We've gone back and forth, and here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Every single con I gave you actually has a workaround here. So the rain, people adapt to it. They travel during that time frame. The commute, remote work's changed this. Or there's ferries now that have quick access within 20 minutes. Cost of living, it still beats some of those coastal California areas and most of the markets my buyers are leaving from. SAD, the seasonal affective disorder. It's manageable. Locals have been handling this for decades. Definitely get some lights and do some light therapy. And the cultural shift, honestly, Gig Harbor and the South Sands are not Seattle, so you're not going to feel it as much as going into the city, but it just takes a little bit longer to get your friend group. And now every single pro I gave you, it's real. The scenery is beautiful, the tax situation is what it is, and the job market is striving here. And we've got outdoor access like nowhere else. The communities, once you get here, you're going to find that it is so great to feel welcomed or know people and that they take care of you here. Don't get me wrong, moving here isn't for everyone. So I'm not trying to sell Washington to you, but there is the right person. And trust me, I'm meeting them every day and they fall in love with it here. It is beautiful and it becomes home pretty darn fast. If you're seriously looking at making this move, I know this market inside out. I've been here for over 30 years. I know the neighborhoods. I help people relocate here every day. And I'm happy to be the person who tells you the truth about the areas and get to know you to know, is it a good fit? For those of you that want to talk to somebody before they move up here, please reach out to me. Like I said, I answer every single message and email. I'd love to be able to help you in the process of seeing if this is a good fit for you. Thank you for joining me today. If you want to get more honest information about moving to Western Washington and just real estate in general, click that like button, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.